can't see my blanket. I'm just going to bring it up for a little bit. Whoa! I almost dug out a bonnet. I found my way home across the Grand Mirage. Ever since
Hi, Arngrim Show. I'm Allison Arngrim. Some of you may possibly recognize me as Evil Nellie Oleson from Little House on the Prairie. But tonight, I'm Allison Arngrim, and it's the Allison Arngrim Show. And here on the Allison Arngrim Show, we talk about things that make you feel good. The movies and the TV shows that made us feel good, and the people who made them, and people who are doing things now to make the world a better and more interesting place. Oh, do we have a doozy tonight? Yes, I always get excited when it's a friend of mine. So it's a friend of mine, and yeah, he's absolutely bloody bonkers. So some of you know that there, in fact, was a comedy group named Nellie Oleson's after my evil character. There's also like 4 bands in Europe named Nellie Oleson. It's really weird. But indeed, I got to meet these fabulous people. And one of the fabulous, well, okay, to me, the most fabulous, because he was the one who dressed up as me. And he's not just a guy who dresses up as Nellie Oleson with the Nellie Olesons occasionally. He also has his own entire career, has been in movies, has been in TV shows, and also has a really weird thing going on called Love Connie that even I don't completely understand. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome, John Cantwell.
Hi, Nellie. How are things? How are things at the Mercantile?
It's like amazing. We have our quilts. We both have our quilts. I see we both have our quilts. Yeah.
I just wanted to show off my quilt that I bought at the Mercantile years ago, but I'm getting my bursitis is acting up, so I'm gonna have to put my arms down.
So is that like your grandma's quilt? This was sent to me by a lovely woman I met on Facebook. A fabulous fan made this and sent this to me.
Oh God, patch quilts are expensive. That's like a month's rent. And I still have about 4 patch quilts that my mama made me I'm from Northeast Louisiana. And this one is actually it's in mint condition. It's in really good condition. The other ones, I'm going to see if I can turn into some type of a outfit.
There's people who do things like quilt restoration. And I have these 2 quilts that my grandmother made, but I took them to the quilt restoring lady. And it was like, yeah, this is going to be like thousands of dollars.
I know. Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, no. I'll make art out of them or something. We'll figure it out. But yeah, it was like, how much? No. My grandmother was a Scottish frugal woman. She never would have stood for that. She would have said, what? No. So there you are. How the hell are you? Okay, you were almost my last guest. When this all started a year and 3 months ago.
What do you mean by this? What started?
You were supposed to come in studio, and I was like, hi, you're doing the show. You went, I'm not doing the show. What are you, crazy? I'm not even that. Are you nuts? I'm not doing a show. You're like, hey.
Well, you know what that ties into? That ties into the whole Nellie curse. Because if you talk to any Nellie Oleson, we'll tell you a story about, oh, no. Anything good that was going to happen, somehow, we wound up getting pushed down the hill, in the runaway wheelchair. I think we paid penance for all the shit you did on the TV show. I believe that.
I am the curse. It's your, so for people going, what the hell? Okay, so one day in the 90s, like, God, I think Bob and I had just gotten married or were about to, so we're talking like 93?
93.
And I get this phone call. I had just done an interview with People magazine, and this guy calls me and says, I'm in New York, and I'm waiting for the ferry to P-Town. So, like, in case we weren't sure, yes, he was gay. So he's waiting for the ferry to P-Town. He says, and there's this flyer, and it was like on the ground, of course, because it's a Nellie flyer, on the floor. A flyer, and he says it's a picture of you, but like the Nellie face, and it says sugar and spice and everything nice, but don't fuck with the bitch. And it's like $10 off if you mention Laura Ingalls at the door. He said, like, what is this? I have no idea what's happening. And it says to Nellie Olson, I'm dying of laughter. I have no idea what this is either, but this is hysterical. Because I was in LA, and you guys were getting known in New York, but people in LA were still going, what? And I had heard that there's bands. I eventually met the guys who have a band called Nellie Olson in France.
Yes.
It's completely surreal. But so I go, okay, to Nellie Olson. So I track you down that the theater ridiculous in New York. And I
Yes, yes.
called the theater, and because I have no idea, I just know that someone said there's a comedy group called the Nellie Olsons, and apparently they're quite scandalous. I'm like, yes.
And you were ready to walk in there and be like, cease and desist.
You were so scared. I called the theater, called and I go, I wish to speak to the Nellie Olsons. And they're like, yeah, they just got off stage. Who can I say is calling? And I said, Allison Arngrim. The sound I heard, remember in in Silence of the Lambs when she drops the phone in the hall when she hears Lecter's out and the phone just hangs in the hallway as she runs screaming
She's
down the
sprinting
hall.
down that hall.
It was that. That was, whoever got the call went, oh, like just dropped the phone and ran away. And I was like, And then there was this long pause as I guess you all like drew lots, and Nora Burns took the phone.
I imagine that, yes. Now, actually, I joined the Nellies in '96 because that's another just interesting thing about the Nellies is that there were lots of different members, lesbian, gay, pretty much always lesbian and gay. A couple of little DL imposters, as I like to call them, Nora. Which we have to talk about. Speaking of imposter,
like
which is one of the greatest stories that
the Grateful Dead tour. People kept coming in and going out with the Nellies.
Yes,
it's like the Grateful Dead, and so Nora.
But I saw that show at Ridiculous, and it was when I saw it, I had never thought about doing sketch comedy. I didn't, I had always known about Saturday Night Live and loved, that, but I was more of like the musical theater. Was going. I had figured a way to get to those Broadway audition open calls, and I was trying to do that. But I wasn't.
Wait, you were a real actor? You were a real actor before that?
Well, I wasn't even real because, Terrence graduated top of his class, Yale Drama School, Yale, and Nora graduated for Columbia. I was the runty, country boy that literally, the first show that I did was directed by Lipsika, John Epperson, who's from Vicksburg, Mississippi, which is this city I was born in, but I grew up on the other side of the Mississippi River, in Tallulah, Louisiana, very befitting.
Right. If you weren't like a drag queen before,
and to be connected with you for an old school name like that.
Nora gets on the phone. Nora gets on the phone, and I can tell this person is panicked. She's like, "Hello," and I thought, well, I'll just go. I went, "Who are you, and why are you doing this?" And she went, "Because we worship you." And I said, "Oh, good answer," and laughed my ass off. And then we started talking, and then they were coming to LA. And is that when you joined? Because the highways in Santa Monica, you were in that. Were you in that show?
I was in that show. I feel like they did do Highways before, but I guess that would be my question is, what was the first time that you came on stage with the Nellies? Because the first show I did in LA, you were in that show.
Yep. I was Highways, and I came to see you guys. First I saw you, and I was so nervous because I thought, well, they're named after me. I hope they're good.
Oh, God.
But the worst was like, okay, if they're bad, wow, this is really going to be awkward, and how just this going to suck if I hate them and hear they're named after me if I really hate them. But then the other terror was that you would be mediocre or boring or safe, and then I would go and go home and cry.
Yeah.
I thought that was lovely, and then I would sob, and I thought, is there hope that they're really scandalous? Oh my God, you guys were so outrageous. Now, Highways, if anyone is not in LA doesn't know Highways, there were shows at Highways where people like cut themselves in blood on stage, performance art.
Home of the NEA 4, the one that got Jesse Helms all freaked out.
Naked people, many things happened on stage at Highways that were just like, you what? And this was a normal occurrence. So people who went to Highways were like, I've seen everything. I am not shocked. And you guys actually offended the audience at Highways.
Yeah.
I was sitting there
But the other great thing I was thinking about is when we would perform it, New York audience, as you know, New York audiences are very different from LA. So we were used to a New York audience, and we always said they were the audience. They sit back and they just go, prove it. And they just wait for you to prove it. And if you can get them to laugh, you're like, oh, thank God. But LA always even at Highways or wherever we would go, LA just seemed to be like, I don't. We'll have to come up with what they are, but just pushovers. Like they literally just want to laugh. Maybe there'd be a bitchy queen or someone that's just not having a good time, or I don't get it. But you're right. There would always be someone that would leave the show
They gasped.
highly
They
offended.
gasped. I mean, the sketches, they were hilarious, but you did think for her Bill, and I'm like, I'm dying of laughter. And of course, every time someone gasps, I go,
which was always good to have you on the front row, because people would also, there would be that meta experience of like, ooh, God, what? I wonder if she's seen them before, if she likes them. So when you would start cackling at the sickest stuff we would be doing, people would be like,
all turn and look at me. And I had this when I went and saw Little House on the Prairie, the musical, when they did the musical and Melissa Gilbert was playing Ma. Every time the girl who played Nellie, who was great, who was fabulous, by the way, every time this girl who was Nellie came on stage, the entire theater would go and turn around and look at me to see what I thought. And so I was like, she's fine. What? Shut up. Leave her alone. Jesus. It was so weird. So people, so everyone was looking at me and I was howling. But of course, every time everyone went, oh, heavens, and clutched their pearls, I laughed harder because the evil Nellie part of me was like, yes, they're naughty. They're naughty. And then I met you guys and they said, okay, what do we want to do? And you had a sketch where you came out. It was, everyone was in prairies. The one prairie sketch. You always had like sketches about everything and then one sort of prairie send-up sketch. And you had the one where Terrence was Mrs. Oleson and you were Nellie, and Nora and whoever were being Ma and Laura, and it was and I remember it was the famous line, "You people are nothing but Conestoga wagon trash."
Wagon trash, yeah.
Bob and I are still laughing at that one. And you were complete, and you came out and you were mother and the school, and you're like so freaking funny, and you're in the wig and the thing. So what we decided to do is I brought the wig, and I got all dressed up. And you did the sketch, and right at the height of the sketch, I walked out in the two of us were side by side looking at each other. People lost their minds. And then I said, who the hell said you could be me, you stupid queen, and like hit you and chased you off the stage and took over. It was lovely. It was so fun.
Those are dreams, though. We all, can I tell you, I was ready to have a moment like that with God bless her, Tawny Katane. Like, she recently died, but there had always been this thing where I'm going, I really want her to just come to the Cavern Club. If I could be in a dance number doing this heavy metal thing, if she just walked out on stage, I get chills thinking about. So I want to go to any, especially a fierce female like you. Please just come to the Cavern Club and play. Honey, we can cast you and put you in a. But you also remember the phone? We would always have Nellie do phone sex. Nellie phone sex.
Okay. And then there was the parody of the was it Obsession, the commercial? Where I think when it was done, you actually did it naked, like nothing but the wig at one point.
Wait, here was the line. It was like between fashion and scandal lies Nellie. Nellie, the vindictive new fragrance from Calvin Klein.
And I believe you lay on the couch completely starkers except for the wig. So when I came to take it over, I went, girl, I am not going. They were like, all of them were like, you can, if you it's highway, it's no one cares. You could totally go out naked if you want to. And I'm like, yeah, no. So I remember a bustier. I was dressed.
At that same time too, those two women were like, we've got to film these guys. And this was, again, I don't know where we were, Allison, because I was still living in New York, even though I've been in LA now for 22 years. But that was such a whirlwind. It's like, because I joined the Nellies at the right time. They were like really good. And I came in, and the three of us, Nora, Terrence, and I, we really shared the same sensibility. And that's just like the magic of collaboration. They wrote everything.
The Disney princesses doing.
Oh, yes. Alanis Morissette.
You ought to know where the Disney princesses get together and go, hey, Mr. Disney, and bust him for
representation.
Harassing.
Yes.
I was sobbing. I mean, you guys really need to sit there. But these people came and said, well, we're going to film this. And it was like the demo reel. So thank God I was dressed. So I went, and we did the demo reel and went, oh, isn't that cute? Haha, I'm in your demo reel.
Well, and it was really badly, I mean, no shade on any, but it was a demo reel. It was really badly done.
It was somebody set up a camera and pointed it.
I have to do this one thing because I was doing the sound, like Nora and Terrence wrote, and then I was that queen that came in and was like, oh, no, no, no. We know we've got to use this song because I have the reference for pop culture. And I'm like,
You were the
this
music.
is,
You were the music. You picked all the song. Yeah.
yes. And I brought in dance and choreography in there. But I remember we were still doing all of our sound cues on cassettes. And the Nellie show would have like 32 different sound cues on a cassette. I still have the cassette box that says Big Audio Nellie, which I always loved. That some tech guy wrote that like 25 years ago. And I remember in that demo, Nora's doing a monologue and she had her music on, but then all of a sudden you hear someone talking and you realize, stop the tape, cut the cassette off. And Nora starts rushing her lines. Trying to get off because, so we were always in a shit show and we should have been like the richest, most snobby sketch comedy group ever.
Guerrilla theater. It was guerrilla theater, which is why I loved it, because I saw that going, I went, yes, it's on my people. So somebody just slaps the camera on a tripod, shoots it. We go, okay, well, we have a nice clip. And I went, oh, cute, I'm in it. Forgot all about it. And then somebody sent it to freaking Outfest.
And it won the freaking award.
And
it won the audience award.
They said it for best comedy short. And I'm like, they can't submit that for best comedy short. There was like just somebody put it. It's not even lit. It's like you can't even see what's happening. It's a camera tripping. I went to that. I watched all the other comedy shorts, and you know what? You guys did. When I watched the other comedy shorts, Bob and I started going, well, these aren't very good. And then yours came on, and we went,
it was because we were funny.
Because it was funny. Bob and I watched it. We said, yes, it's a camera in the dark, but the others weren't funny. This is actually funny. And people were screaming their heads off. And it won. It won first prize. And
then it was a director's award. So then the director, who really didn't do it, she was just the smart one that said, but you know what? We never really... Yeah. But she was the only one that ever said, come on down. And I think her girlfriend was an agent at William Morris. Because I know that there was, but the Nellies had, now granted, I was never invited to an interview because there was also that weird dynamic in the Nellie Olsons where Nora and Terrence were the founders. And even though I was an equal, and I was fine with that because, like I say, the best thing about...
people did come and go. People came and went. So they were
Yes. And I was, I was like Scott Thompson from Kids in the Hall because we had a conversation about this. When he joined the group, he said he slammed that goddamn door and locked it, was like, nobody else is getting in. This is the group. And I really fought for that because after one of our girls left, they were like, we have to find a new girl. And I was like, no, we don't. And I was like, we are the three. And it was all like, how do we write for three? And I'm like, we'll adapt and evolve and do it. And it just works out best when the three of you are kind of this same brain, but yet three different parts of that brain.
But it was so brilliant, and this allowed you to have guest stars. And then what you would do is you'd have the three, and then we'd be like Cavern Club, and like, oh look, I'm here. And then you had Lucy Lee Flippin.
Okay, I was gonna say we have to talk about Lucy Lee because Lucy
Lee Flippin. For those, yes, Almanzo's sister on the show, crazy Lucy Lee Flippin. She came in and worked with Nellie Oleson, and then one night it was both of us, and like, that was like the most. So they had people from Little House on the Prairie guested in the show besides me, and also came to see it. Catherine McGregor, Mrs. Olson, came to see the show.
Okay,
and she and Terrence.
Yes.
Where Terrence had dueling, where they both started going nails and like dueling. Yeah.
Okay, I'm so glad you brought up both those things because Catherine McGregor. When I first moved to LA and was hot shit, because the gays know when fresh meat is in town. And when the Nellies came in, not only were we funny and kind of popular in an underground way, as these kind of like rebels, but I got lots of dates back, good, like real estate agents, someone that wouldn't even come near me now. But he lived next door to Catherine.
Yes!
So he had seen our show, and then he's going, I live next door. And I was like, no, we're getting her out. And he's like, well, she's an older woman now. And we're like, oh no, we were like, she's coming. And she talked
loved it. She loved it so
she was
much.
so wonderful. and she was talking about how because about that that boy. And she was like, oh well, like she said she once heard peacocks or something like in some weird mating call, and she adapted that, which I always thought was really fascinating.
It sounded like a peacock mating call. We shot at Disney Ranch. We had a couple episodes we shot at Disney Ranch, which is like Peacock Land. It was like whenever there's a covered bridge, it's always like a Disney Ranch. And we were in Disney Ranch, and we got there. We went, is Catherine here? Is she practicing? She hadn't arrived yet. Peacocks. We're all going, no, no. We're like, holy crap. And then when she got there, she went, oh, great. And she runs out and starts screaming at the peacocks, and they're answering her. And oh, it was, yeah.
So fascinating. And Lucy, I met Lucy on the treadmill at my gym. We have another, you and I have another connection because, okay, Lucy and I worked out at the gym that was in the E building and the EMI Records building. It was the old, all right, for trivia fans who watch your show, it was where Heather Locklear ran D&D advertising. It's the building across from SAG, across from the old Marie Callender's and the tar pits.
Right.
So we were in there and I saw Lucy, and I had never met her before, but she's unmistakable. She's like you can't really hide unless you cover up your eyes. But even then, there's just a presence about you that you're like, I'm in the presence of Nellie Oleson. Where is she? Because, but Lucy and I talked forever. And I also, she's the best thing in Police Academy and even in Fame. She's just one of those character actors that is brilliant, even if she has nothing to do but applaud. She's applauding Jennifer Beals.
Applauding. First day I met her on Little House. She's the teacher, did come in and doing teaching, and we're going out to see my new hotel and all this ridiculous stuff. And she says, "Now class," and I have not met this woman yet. I have not know her from Adam. And she turns to her and goes, "Now class," and she goes and smacks her wrist. And I went, that is like the creepiest thing I've ever seen anyone do. And so I came up and was like, "Hi, I don't know you, but that was amazing." And she started giggling and going, "Yeah, I saw a teacher do that once. I thought it was funny." And I was like, that was scary. And so she's like, "I should keep it in." But yet she would come up with these things. The woman, she's fantastic.
She's so brilliant. And that she was also game to come and play. Because I immediately went, I was like, I was name dropping. I was like, I know Allison, and I'm in a comedy group called the Nellie Olsons. And Lucy, you have got, okay, and I have to do my reaction. I was like, Lucy, you have got to come and do a show with us. And Lucy would look at me and she would go, and would get that bashful look where she would be like, I couldn't dare. My church would, and I'm, not that she's like that at all, but it's just that presence. And I think it took a year. But we were doing the show at the Gay and Lesbian Center, the old Ed Gould Plaza, and we were doing that show. And remember, they had erected these flats because we were just in this bare room. And at one point, the lights went out, and we heard this wham. And I think you or Lucy.
I was right behind her. Yeah, and also you did the best impression of Lucy ever when you.
She recovered in character.
Two of us exited in a total blackout, and there were the wooden blocks that you had on stage that you made furniture.
Yes.
So they had been moved off stage, and these flats were dark as, and we go walking, and she tripped, and she went down hard. And I wasn't sure if she was okay for a second. And I'm going, "Oh my God, is she okay? Is she okay?" And she gets up and I went, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yes." I said, "Oh, good." And then I started laughing hysterically. I said, "Okay, you're all right." So I can laugh but that was like the funniest thing I ever saw in my life. She went face down. Then she got up and went, oh, what was that? Like nothing happened. And then we went on and did the next sketch. I was like, "Are you sure you're okay?"
Oh, God. And we made her do that sketch again. Okay, here's the funny thing, just to talk about Terrence, the main writer of the Nellies, the guy that went to Yale
and could go like
anytime. There was the one girl, Marissa, who was a brilliant actor.
Marissa was great.
She was so brilliant, but let me tell you, and I'm waiting for someone to do the Nellie Olson's documentary where we can show all, because I don't think you could do a lot of what people would just imagine a Gen Z watching a Nellie where Terrence and I are putting our penises between our legs and playing a flute, but pretending like we're LSD burnouts that you just, would be like, what? And I totally lost my train of thought. Pick it up, Allison, hurry.
Lucy. Oh my God. So we're
Oh,
talking about Lucy.
Terrence,
We're talking about
Terrence.
Terrence. So we're talking about
Terrence.
Terrence.
Anytime, there was one time where Marissa, who didn't write either, so we were kind of like, what is she really contributing to the group? And she was like, Terrence, I don't really feel like I'm shining in this show. Like, and it was kind of, a request, like, could you write something for me? And Terrence, of course, interprets that as, oh, you want to shine? You want to shine? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna write a sketch for you.
Uh-oh.
And of course, he wrote this eviscerating sketch where she played a mother, I played the abusive husband who was demanding oral before I went to work. Meanwhile, she's carrying Terrence, who's wearing a diaper and screaming his head off, mama. But he also kept going, meaty, meaty. He kept saying meaty over and over. And I was looking at the sketch and I'm going, because he would run it by me before he would present it to her. And I would be like, Terrence, she is going to be highly insulted. And I'm like, what is this meaty? And he's like, oh, it's these Milk-Bone dog biscuits that I want to have on stage on the table that you just see meaty. So the kid's just going meaty. And then Nora is playing this punk, like from a John Waters, and she's rifling through Marissa's purse. And Marissa's like, honey, please don't go through mother's purse. It makes her very nervous. I need money. And then at the end of the sketch, she winds up putting a dog biscuit up her, skirt. And we're just going, Terrence. Of course, Marissa gets it. Loves it. I mean, so convincingly.
That's the thing. You ask Terrence, if you push Terrence, go, can you write a sketch for me? It's like,
but she
really?
was up for anything.
But then she did it. She didn't care. So,
she did not care. She just wanted to shine. It's like, you want to shine? People will remember the housewife that fed the dog with a meaty dog biscuit.
And these
sorry, fans. I'm sorry. I feel like I came to just shit all over your lovely.
But it's like the whole meta thing of Nellie with the Nellie Olson. But my greatest moment was then we had to come and I was doing the AIDS Project Los Angeles summer party at Universal Studios.
Oh my God.
And that was the year we had a budget and could like fly people in. It was like, then people were like staying in my house and it was insane. And so we brought you guys in and then we had, I did it all. The whole sole reason, yes, I loved you guys, but it was seriously just so I could walk out on stage and say, and now Nellie Olson presents the Nellie Olson. That was it. I just had like lived my entire life to like say.
Yes.
And then
I
you
remember that when I'm telling you, I felt like I started on top. When I joined that group, seriously, they were the darlings everywhere we went. Ohio, we did Columbus and Cincinnati, yeah. And again, we weren't making any money. San Francisco was always a disaster. And that's why I think it would be so interesting to revisit just that time, because there aren't gay sketch comedy groups, especially one that has a connection with an iconic TV star that allowed us to get away. That's what we said. We said, look, we're the Nellie Olsons. People can come at us sideways, but
and that's the thing.
We have that badge.
Right. We need a documentary. Now, in the midst of this, Connie started as a Nellie thing, right? There was like this one, and now Connie. And I remember the first time I saw it, and Bob, the same thing. We went, "The hell was that? What's that? What does that even mean? What is that even about?" Okay, John's on something. He comes out as this kind of awful girl, and what was that? And
I had no characters.
It's escalated into a whole thing.
Because of my desire as a performer. That's what I've learned, I realize that I'm not really anything like you're an actor. You're a pro. You know what it's like to show up on a set and to work on a show that ran for, and you know how to be a professional, sing for your supper, eat your dinner while it's hot, and not cause any trouble. You know what I mean? Not pull a Jessica Biel and be like, this Nellie thing, is going to ruin. You know what I mean? There was none of that. It's like, you're a pro. I never really got that, I didn't. Now I did fun bit, like, I got to be on Will and Grace and Legally Blonde. So there were little bits and little tastes. And I tell you, the saddest experience of my life was when I got, the biggest part I ever got was in a little indie film. And all of my scenes, when they're all shot in one day, and you're thinking, oh, I'm showing up and we're going to have this, and it's going to be like theater, like we're all going to be and it's like, no, you're done and you need to get off stage because
You've
we're
been
about to go
wrapped.
over.
You've been
It's
wrapped.
like,
Bye.
get
Get
off.
a car. Yeah.
So in an effort, and the thing about the Nellies is because as soon as I joined, Terrence moved to LA and then I moved to LA and we were never together. And from even that last show that we did, we just, you have to rehearse and you have to be around each other. That's the thing about, I think about a comedy group. You have to live together. And in those early years, we kind of were very insular and familiar, all of us, you included.
You're right, but the chemistry was different. There was a period where the chemistry was a certain way because you guys were around each other all the time. And when you moved, it was like, oh, do I remember
I
that?
know.
Doing that?
And then it just becomes like a variety show. Like, well, I'll do this and it's not the same. So, it is what it is. But I always just wanted to perform. And around the time of the Nellies, when I came out to LA, one of the guys that always gave us wigs, he did the hair for Mad TV. So the Nellies always had fun, cartoony wigs. He said, because I would dance around the house and everything, he would be like, John, you were so funny with the dance routines and the dance moves. You should, because I would do those little dance numbers as Connie is like my beauty pageant talent. He's like, you should put a show together called The Daft Dances. And that was always on my mind for 20 years. It was always on my mind, like a series of comic dances, and I worked in the fitness industry, so I knew cardio.
You're an aerobics instructor, which is really weird.
Yes.
Because people come up to me and go, I was just at the gym, and like the guy
you were once
saw,
one time, and you came to my class.
I came up. People were like, that guy I saw like naked and then wearing your wig, and he was teaching aerobics, and I don't know what's happening. It's like, yes, that was very.
You and I have weird. We weave all over LA and see each other in very odd places, which is so fun. But I knew again. I thought, ooh, if we could do like a kind of like a cardio comedy show, and I thought, well, it has to be Connie because Connie was just me, really, but the really underdog country. Growing up in the South, your first taste of entertainment for some are beauty pageants where there's a beautiful girl on stage and she has a talent. Now, listen, I would have been entering shit like that, I'd have been like, I would have never won because of my beautiful horsey, structure. However, I would have been non-finalist talent winner, Miss Amity. I'll help you with your hair, girl. But I always loved that. But I always loved the one. Now, listen, the Louisiana, those pageants, we have pageants like Miss Stock Show, Miss Blanchard Poke Salad, Miss Louisiana Score, it all like what? And there would always be the underdog. So the beautiful girl, there would be a beautiful girl there, but I always loved that underdog that just her hair looked a little greasy, didn't really wear makeup, borrowed a dress.
Right, because there's always the perfect girl who'd been in pageants since a toddler, and she had perfect teeth, like the Vaseline, the teeth, like in the movie.
And wasn't nobody coming.
Yep. And she could do the way. She was going to win. Yep. But then there was sort of the girls like,
who did it for confidence.
Like, oh dear. And you're kind of like,
I'm just here for confidence.
Yes. So you loved that girl. You saw that person.
I saw that girl, and I said, there was also something that I remember. Something that was told to Jamie Lee Curtis one time that I've also felt. That was something when I started doing stuff on film, and this is more the self-hating. I say the self-hating gay as I shouldn't joke about that, but we all deal with self-hatred. You know what I mean? We've all got thighs, we've all got, so whatever. But there were certain things about the way I would stand that I felt would out me on film. And, back then in the 90s, as gay as we were, as the Nellie Oleson, we would walk down Commercial Street in Provincetown in high heels and panties and nothing else going, hey, come to our show, and confuse everyone. But when it would come to an audition, like you would have to get in drag and go to Warner Brothers, it put me back to a place to where the Nellies gave me beyond confidence as a performer, as a person that was smart. Like you're not educated. You didn't go to the groundlings, but it allowed me to recognize, like you recognized in us, something that was really freaking good and was not mediocre. And it was, but again, no one's ever heard of us. Isn't that fabulous? Also, that we get, but you know what I mean? You and I get to share that. And there's also something that is so punk. And that to me is what is the beauty of theater, is that you have to show up to theater. You have to show up, or you don't get.
It's so punk. It was the punk sensibility that got me. And that, as we're talking about now, I feel like we're talking about like one of the great underground bands in like either the 60s or during the punk movement. It's like, no, they never made it to Woodstock, the thing, but I saw them in this club in San Francisco. Yeah, it's like we're talking about a great garage band that only a handful of people.
And what was that documentary? Was it Anthrax? What was the documentary on the band? And it was the band that had fallen apart. They were fighting, and it was so sad, how it all, and they were huge at one time, but then they decided to get together for this one last show, and they were literally, it was taking everything for them just to emotionally, and then they show up at the show, and there were like 50,000 and you're literally like, oh my God, I'm crying, it's Anthrax. And I'm like, I would never listen to Anthrax, but just that thing of like, but the Nellies were always cursed. So the fact that it, but anyway, with Connie, I was like, oh, thank God, because it allowed me, because I'm not a writer and I don't like to write. That is stressful. It's stressful. It's really stressful, so being able to just tell a story through dance and no words.
It's funny. She has spoken, but like what? How many sentences as the character?
It gets harder and harder. And then there's always that weird thing of people going, well, it used to be like I wouldn't even show. There's a difference between the drag world of theater and the drag world as in RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh yeah, I was going to say the difference between comedy and drag.
It is, and it's that thing where Mr. Dan had to tell me one time. He's like, you really should stay in as Connie and come upstairs because people want to see you and take a picture with you. And I literally looked at them and I thought, I am so sweaty and disgusting. And it was like that during a Nellie show. That was the other thing, the parallel between a Connie show and the Nellie show. It's the same show, except instead of sketches, I'm using pop songs. But the thing, again, like the Nellies, I've painted myself in a corner of where I can't ever really have success with Connie like I would want to, because my success depends on the fact that I have to have Tina Marie's lover girl. You know what I mean? Or else you don't get the comedy of this kind of because I'm a beastly character in drag.
And I'm just trying to imagine, like, wait, people wanted Connie to come upstairs and pose with her? I would think people have been like running away. Connie she's a brilliant character, but you kind of go, oh.
Your crowd is you're saying like women, of, again, it's like the Nellies, straight women love Connie. I think it's this weird thing of seeing a dude in women, whether it's women's underwear or whatever, but seeing him go for it in a way, I always like to say I'm the perfect blend of Anne Margaret and Iggy Pop. It's just kind of this visceral where you're like, but then it's like, oh my God, that kid can dance. That queen can kind of dance pretty good.
Shockingly. And we're saying like the complete difference between there's comedy in the whole, and drag and comedy with the whole thing, and then drag as we know it is this highly glamorous, almost like the pageants. Almost the pageants all over again. The pageants, yes. Very perfect illusion stuff. RuPaul, very elaborate, and then comedy, and they're very, very, very different things. It's just, and yet you got on RuPaul's Drag Race, but not as a contestant. Connie, you basically, Connie kind of crashed the whole RuPaul thing. How did that happen? Please tell me, how did that happen?
Well, those Fenton and Randy from World of Wonder go way back to those New York days of the Nellie Oleson. So they always knew about the Nellie. And in fact, we did a hidden camera. When I first came out to LA, they hired the Nellies to do this hidden camera show. And it was for HBO. It never aired. I remember meeting with Sheila Nevins. I remember them saying, Sheila Nevins likes you. And I remember thinking like, Sheila Nevins because I always thought Sheila Nevins was a badass, but we did this. Okay. can I tell this? I have to tell. Okay, it's about a sperm bank. Do you want to hear this story? Did you ever hear the story about the Nellies? And they put an ad in the LA Weekly about a sperm bank, and we did this fake setup on Sunset Strip at this empty building that was an old restaurant, and all these strange dudes. Nora was dressed up like a sexy nurse, and she would hand them these giant jugs, and she'd be like, "Hello, guys. We just wanted to give you a new experience at our sperm bank called the Moulin Rouge Sperm Bank." And there was a stage, and they put music on, and she'd start dancing. And meanwhile, me and Terrence and we're behind this two-way mirror, and it's all hidden camera and elaborate. And we're watching these guys, and we're going, oh my God, they're in, oh my God. And then
wait, this could have been physically dangerous. That's insane. They killed her.
It did. There was one person that got sued because it was a plumber thing where I don't know if I'm supposed to say, but it was a really Jennifer Coolidge. She was playing this woman who is having an affair, and she's like to the plumber, who's a real plumber, like, "Oh my God, my husband is showing up. You've got to he's gonna think we're having." And the guy literally. So yeah, this was something that was never seen.
Like an evil candid camera, but people could get hurt. You can't pull stuff. You're gonna kill you.
But the funny thing is here's just the funny thing is all these dudes, and they were mostly straight guys. Just so you guys know, you ladies that want your fertilization, this is your talent pool. So these guys are out here, and then another Nellie comes out, and they do like a little lesbian scene, and Terrence and I are back there, and we're watching them, and they're getting into it. Granted, clothes kept on, no one whipped out anything. But Terrence and I were backstage dressed in thongs, high heels, little gold pasties, and like just the sparkly things. And then the music changed to this dance beat, and Terrence and I marched out on stage, and we're doing the gayest thing. And these guys just went. And again, it was so weird because we wound up knowing one guy from college who was, it was just crazy. It was crazy. So those guys are the guys that wound up doing RuPaul's Drag Race.
Shockingly, it did not sell. Oh, I can't imagine.
No, Curse of the Nellies. Allison, Curse of the Nellies. If the Nellies are involved, it ain't going nowhere. So they would regularly come see my shows, and RuPaul was always coming to see my Connie shows. Like RuPaul was I had met him years before. They would never do the thing where they really hang out. They come and you see them in the audience, or someone would tell me. I always love the people who are like, "Girl, RuPaul was in your show tonight." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, they're so sweet. They always come and support." And then they did Drag Race. And then around season 9, I started getting calls. Like, I would talk to, our other friends in production over there. And they'd be like, "Would you ever?" And I'm like, "You guys, I don't even lip sync. It's not really." However, I wanted to be a plant. Oh, I wanted to be a plant so bad. I wanted to come out just as just hairy, just because the thing is when I would ask people like, "Hey, could you help me blend my?" No, you're fine. You're fine. No one's ever wanted to help me get better. So I took that to be like, when you're a young gay kid and people say, "Sissy girl, you're a girl," and you're looking at your body and you're going, "I'm not a girl. Why are that's weird." So I always said, well, if I'm that girl grown up, then I could have you know what I mean? You said I was a girl, so here, bitch, deal with it. That's how I looked at it. And also I have this thing, I think what I was going to say about Jamie Lee Curtis, to tie in a weird thing. Jamie Lee Curtis said that someone once told her about her going into comedy, from Scream Queens and stuff like that. They told her that she had funny legs, but funny legs in a sense, there's a way that she would stand. And it's something I noticed on myself. And it's really evident in True Lies, which to me is like that's her greatest thing ever. She plays that nerdy wife, and then she's in the hallway, and she has to do the makeover, and she's getting her, and she slicks her hair back, and then she's ripping the tulle off the dress. But then she looks at herself in the mirror. I want to stand up and do it. And she starts doing this, she starts doing these poses, and her body is beautiful, and it's funny, and it's sexy. And as you know, with the Nellie Olesons, the boys were always in spandex. We were always doing gymnastics routines. I also think that's why a lot of the straight executives just didn't want to deal with us, because they just weren't ready to face two gay guys who were also undressed with pretty nice body. I just think it was too much for them to just take all in. You know what I mean?
We're ahead of their time. But okay, so Connie gets on because we're great. Can you believe we're almost out of time?
I know you and I could go on for 6 hours.
We could do this for hours. So Connie wound up teaching Connie teaching aerobics,
yes,
exercise class to the professional fancy drag queens.
Yeah. So after the whole, like, I didn't really want to audition or anything, that wasn't working. They kept calling back every season. They were like, we want you on. We just don't know what to do. Typical, we don't know what to do with you. And that was me as an actor in LA. The Nellies, we don't know. We love you. We don't know what to do with you. And it's really more about, take a chance. That's what you do with us. You have to take a chance. And no one took a chance. And listen, there were producers over there that did not. It was all about how many social media followers. And again, they don't know from where I come from, but Fenton and others, Michelle Mill, they all knew. And we were prepared. It wasn't by the seat of the pants. I came in there knowing what I was going to do. We did it literally in one take, and it was a lot. And they were also like, do not get in front of this camera, because that's RuPaul's camera. So there was a lot of fun stuff like that. But the minute it was over, the crew, all the guys behind the camera were literally, everyone just felt like they had a good Jane Fonda workout. It was just it was just a real celebration of fun. And
but again, I love that, because again, it's the perfect beauty queens. They were all the perfect beauty queens. The drag queens on RuPaul are all fantastic. They're all perfect. The hair and the eyelashes, and then you come out and and it's like, it's now the not as pretty girl is here.
I know.
Yes.
And when you look at it, you're like, he's kind of cute. But then you go, look at his crotch. Then it's like you start focusing on the crotch. And every rule of drag is broken.
Yes, yes.
That,
but
which
see,
is
there you go, me again, and the anarchy and the punk and the messing with the beauty queens. Because I thought,
yeah. So I miss that. I miss that punk spirit. But all of that. I mean, where are and your husband knows he's been in a band all his life. It's just like I guess that's our generation, and it's our bubble to remember. I just don't know where we go into
what are we
the
doing
future.
Next? Are you going back to Cavern? It's like, are we going back to Cavern?
Oh yes. Well,
somewhere. Where are you, and where can we find you?
I'm opening the show that I was going to do, which is also based on the web series that I did for World of Wonder. So it ties into the whole RuPaul, and actually I might even reference Legally Blonde. It's kind of like a greatest hits. And I wanted to put some video in there, because also I'm getting older and I don't have the stamina, especially coming out of COVID. My God. Oh my God. I am out of breath walking up La Brea. And La Brea is like, that's the incline of La Brea. Down on Santa Monica. I am literally trying to push past people to pull myself up to Fountain Avenue. It's, so I don't know, but my take on it, the show's called Live from Conniewood, but because it's my greatest hit show, I'm calling it Love Connie Extreme Makeover Greatest Hits Volume 2, Live from Conniewood. And my two catches are Biggest Loser version, which means you're going to see me a little bigger at the first opening night, but then by the end of the run, I'm going to fit into my costumes perfectly.
And right, because you'll be dancing every night. So, then this is brilliant. It's a post-COVID show, finally live in person with the COVID-15 that everyone in America has gained.
Watch her get in shape in front of your very eyes.
Okay,
I just saw a pound.
Again, it's genius. Yeah, watch him come out of COVID hibernation and lose the weight on stage in front of you.
I just noticed that your patch quilt looks like kitty cats. It's a kitty cat. It's a lounging kitty cat.
It's a kitty cat
absolutely love it.
All right, I have to end the damn show.
Is it over?
It's like over. So, websites, things. You're on Instagram. You're everywhere.
Just Instagram at Real Love Connie. I love my Instagram. I'm always there. I don't like Twitter. Do not sense. You're not going to make me 16 words. No.
No.
And Facebook is ass. It's just, except for your Facebook page, which everyone can watch your show on.
Real Love Connie on Instagram. Real Love Connie on Instagram. And you are bringing back a show, and I will be. Let me know because I want to be in the front row.
Yeah. You're definitely going to be there.
I will still be there.
All right.
Thank you. This has been like, oh my God, trip down memory lane.
And we're celebrating almost 25 years of friendship.
Yeah. Wait, so, like more, because. Yeah.
No, we never got to talk. I wanted to talk to you about that night at the Laugh Factory. Oh my God.
See, you're going to have to come on again.
Okay, you have to have me back.
5 hours long.
Have me back, and we'll write down what we didn't talk about.
Write everything down, and we'll have you back.
We have to talk about that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous Love Connie, John Cantwell, and I'm Allison Arngrim, and this is the Allison Arngrim Show.